Hello and welcome to our GCOG session of Hearts of Wulin. And this is Wedding of Jade and Sora. This is a one-shot for our game of this. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and this is part of our Gauntlet Community Open Gaming. And I'm the person who designed the system and co-wrote the material for this. And what this is going to be a, uh, a cut right into the drama as much as we can today. I've checked in with our players and they've all played PbtA, so I won't be necessarily dwelling too much on the rules of that, except I'll be saying a few mechanical differences that if you haven't played Hearts of Wulin, you might need to know. What we start all of our Gauntlet games with a discussion of cats, basically a setup discussion that will bleed into the discussion of safety. So let me talk about what this game is. In Hearts of Wulin, you are playing Wulin heroes. They are strong, skilled. They have a variety of talents. They are magnificent in their own way, but they are hobbled by their own hearts. They can overcome almost anything with a sword, but when it comes to matters of love and intimacy and those things will tangle them up. This is a game which emulates wuxia fiction and movies, but in particular, the source material draws on our wuxia TV dramas, like has now in recent years, we've seen the Untamed on Netflix, Ancient Detective. There are a whole host of these. These are based on some new properties, but a lot of them are based on older novels that came out actually in the 50s and 60s and even earlier. These are long form, multiple character novels with sprawling relationship maps. In our genre, we have characters that have wild powers and abilities, but they don't have magic. This is a low sort of supernatural world, but our characters can do these magnificent things. So touchstones here, very much Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, film-wise is good. Some of the earlier Shaw Brothers movies that are based on novels like The Sentimental Swordsman, things like that. These are all our source materials. Our characters have a hard time talking about how they feel. They often talk obliquely about their emotions. And in fact, we have a move in this that is about when our characters do try and confront those issues and those heartbreaks and so on. There are a number of other genre conventions in here, things like the fact that if anyone wears a disguise of any kind, it completely fools everyone. Regardless if it's a simple mustache or whatnot. That is very much in genre. The way this is going to play out in terms of approach is we'll be building our characters today, choosing our playbooks, and every character is going to build 2 entanglements. These are really crucial to what your character wants and how your character is going to play out their feelings. All entanglements are triangles. They basically are your relationship with another person and how that is complicated by a third person. And you'll start out with a romantic entanglement and a general entanglement. And we'll come back to that, but you'll need to include at least one PC. We'll do check-ins on that in one of your entanglements. I have, to make things easier, put a tab of NPCs in the character keeper with names and pictures, so you can go, ooh, I want to be entangled with that person. So those are all in there for your use. The thematic of the game today is that you 3 are attending a wedding, and maybe not even attending, maybe crashing, maybe arriving in a wedding of 2 people from 2 rival clans, Righteous Jade and Dawning Joy. And you may be in love with them. You may be in love with somebody else at the the wedding. It may be complicated. They may be in love with you. We'll figure that out in the entanglement phase. But of course, there have also been threats and demands put on the wedding. So there's an issue of tension there. Our tone is serious, but very much dramatic. It is melodrama that we are playing out in this game. That is sort of heightened emotions, heightened reactions here, but without bordering into parody. We are looking at this material, appreciating and playing it out, and attempting to be as respectful as we can to it. These are stories that I adore, which is why we've got this game built as it is. Related to that, I'm super white. And like when we went to do the Hearts of Wulin book, we would get cultural readers, and I had someone steeped in the culture write all the cultural material and things like that. We're going to try our best to be as respectful as we can. We're going to treat the genre as solid without anything, not mocking the genre itself. One of the things that's important, I know I don't necessarily have to say that, but I always will, please don't do accents. You can do voices, but don't do any kind of accents here. Related to that, the safety tools that we have in play, we have a layered set of those tools. So at the baseline, we're using lines and veils. There is a tab for this. It's the first tab in the Keeper. You will see that on that tab, we've got a series of checkboxes with different issues. Please, as we're doing character creation, take a moment to look through there and mark anything that you feel is a hard line, meaning this is not something we want to see on screen. This is not something we want to play out. This is not an issue we want to deal with. Please mark those things that way. If you're okay with it being in the game, but maybe don't want to see it head on, you can mark something as a veil, which means that if that issue happens, it's going to happen off screen. It might be referred to, but we're not going to see it. Or if it comes up, we're going to fade to black at that point. So please mark those. The other thing is ask first. If you're fine with it being a thing, but maybe you want to check in before we do that, please mark it that way. If there is anything that I have missed or that occurs to you as a strong line, veil, or ask first, please add that to the sheet as you need to. This is an important way that we calibrate our baseline for the game. What we'll do is when we get to the character creation process, before we go to entanglements, I'll walk through those lines and veils choices with everyone so we're all on the same page. To complement that, of course, the second thing that we're using is the X card, which I suspect most of you are familiar with. You can do that by saying X card, or you can do the X card gesture, essentially on screen. Those are the most useful ways to do it, because if it's done in text or chat, it's often I may miss those. So we do want you to call that out. X card can be used for material that you find problematic, that you find phobic, that you find objectionable, or maybe even you find it wildly off tone from the way that we've been playing. You can X card that. Or if we're starting to move into territory of a line or a veil and maybe we haven't quite caught it yet, that's a good time to X card something. We won't ask questions. We won't have justifications. The only thing we might check in is where we need to roll back to skip the X card thing. The last thing to say about the X card is if something has happened a couple of times and then later on you're like, okay, now this is starting to bother me, or I'm not comfortable with this now, it is absolutely legit to X card at a later point in time. Don't worry if it has passed you by. The last thing that we have on the table as a safety tool is the open door policy, which means that if something happens, you're not feeling well, you're really not enjoying the game, whatever is the reason, it is fine to step away, to leave. We understand that can happen, especially playing online or houses, things like that can occur. We only ask that maybe, and this isn't a requirement, but if you can, tell us, be right back, or I have to leave, or something like that in a chat, so we know. But that is not necessarily a requirement. So those are all things that we use here for establishing that we're on the same page. The last thing I want to say is if I get talking too fast, as I sometimes do, or if my horrible Indiana Hoosier accent makes it that you can't understand what I've said, please ask me to repeat myself, because that has happened before. I get rolling and I get into slurring my words together. So just recognize that that can occur. No problem if you've lost where I'm at. So with that in mind, what I would like to do is start the character creation process. We have 6 playbooks. I'd like to see, and usually I'm going to, when I ask questions, I'm going to ask them directed to particular names and things like this, but this is the one case where I'm going to ask it a little more openly for anyone. Does anyone have a strong sense of, this is the playbook I want to play? We've got the aware, who is the active sort of knowledge-based character. We've got the bravo, who is the more happy-go-lucky character. We've got the loyal, the strong-hearted, stout character. The outsider, who stands outside of things, either rebelling against or undercutting the Wulin world. We have the student, maybe hopeful and more optimistic. And then we have the unorthodox, which is some weird stuff. Each of those has 3 roles. So when you pick a playbook, you'll pick a role and get that role move. And then you'll also pick a couple of moves from that. So does anyone have a strong feeling about either the single playbook that they're interested in or a couple that they are? Okay, so now I'm going to call on people. So, Misha,
Yes.
let me talk to you. Do you have 1 or 2 or even 3 playbooks that you kind of maybe have an idea that you'd like to think about?
I think I'm kind of torn between either the aware or the outsider.
Aware, outsider. Okay.
Making my
Mark.
choice
Okay,
now.
so good. Okay, once we start getting things a little bit narrowed down, that pushes other people to narrow things down.
Yeah.
Mark, what about you?
I think I'm kind of looking at the Bravo.
Okay. And Flavio, what are you thinking?
I was thinking about the aware or the loyal. So since the aware can be also chosen by Misha, we can discuss about that part.
Okay. So Misha, if we have to come back to you between the aware and the outsider.
I'm looking at the move, seeing if something just really catches my eye.
Okay.
I'm going to say the outsider.
Okay. All right. So then Flavio, would come back to you. Now you're down 2 choices.
I was looking. So I think that I'm into loyal more than the aware. So
okay. All right. So here is how character creation is going to work. Now we've got those playbooks chosen. You'll see there's a tab for that. That goes through the process. Essentially, you're going to establish a look and a name for your character. You're going to choose a fighting style. There's no list of these. You're going to make up a name for your fighting style. And you're also going to associate that fighting style with one of your character's elements. Those are your character stats, which means if you associate it with, say, Earth, whenever you fight, you'll be rolling Earth for that. So you'll kind of choose, and that should maybe kind of reflect something about what the style's about there. You'll then get it to assign your numbers, your stats to the different elements that you have for your character. and then do those playbook picks and get those filled in. That's what I want you to work up to right now. And then once that's set, then we'll go through and we will have introductions and go through entanglements. The one thing I should tell you that is different from other PbtA, you may know this or not, most moves, except for duel and fighting and stuff, you choose what element you're going to roll. You will choose what reflects, what state, what element represents the intent behind it. It's a little bit like fate approaches. It's a little bit like emotions from the veil. So that's important. Now, here's the trick. Why would you not always roll your best stat? Because one of the hard moves that I have as a GM is to make you mark an element, because your elements are not only your stats, they're essentially your damage track. When an element is marked, you cannot roll it. And it often, for the hard moves, I'll say, well, what did you roll with? Mark that one. And until you get that cleared, it is stuck. So I'm going to let all of you choose a column there on the characters tab, get rolling. I'm going to stop talking. If you have any questions as this is going along, please say, and I will answer that. I'm going to give everybody another a few minutes. Anything that you don't get picked, you can pick in play.
Just to be clear, we shouldn't be picking entanglement at this
no.
point, right?
No, we'll do introductions before we move to
Yeah.
entanglements. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, I think I'm done then.
I'm almost done.
Same.
Okay.
Yep, I think I'm good.
Well, what I'm going to do is, if it's okay with you, Flavio, I'm going to work my way across in character keeper order. So, Flavio, why don't you tell us about your character? Kind of walk through who you think they are, style, and maybe tell us a little bit about their moves.
Yes, so I'm one Lee. I decided to be the loyal, and I decided the official role. So I wanted to discuss with you what could be, because I'm thinking about an official of like someone that comes from way, or has some duty related to the regional government.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not a noble, but I am actually an official of part of the establishment. So,
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Magistrate or official,
Okay.
is either of those are good titles to use for that. I'll come back to ask about what sort of group they have some ins with, but go on and I'll ask you some more questions.
Yeah. So I decided to put the style is the bear's breath, and it uses a staff. It uses the earth element. I'm thinking about a person that is patient and cautious, and looks at the others before talking. So that's why I put this numbers in. And the role move gives me the option to choose one connection that will give me leads and assistance during the play. Depending on the factions that we are thinking about, I will choose which one. Then I decided flying daggers. That is the move that can make me arrive on the scene or called to the scene by someone else if I consent. And strive for mastery to give if I give an order to an NPC, they will follow my order or react to that in some way anyway.
So this earth style, bear's breath. These how are you picturing their look, their physique? What are you picturing for that?
Yeah, so I'm thinking about actually a big man. So something that it shouldn't be so easily. When you think about a magistrate or an official, you think something that is pushing pens and not doing something physically. It actually is like that, but he has physics that doesn't fit so much the archetype, the stereotype. So that's why the bear's breath, but it moves slowly. So I think that if it is when it is a fighting style, it's something that is very precise, but it acts at the last moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm using a staff, but mm-hmm. if I am too close, if I am in close quarters, I will probably just use my hands. And the staff is just used as a way to keep balance. So one of the things that it's probably the most visible thing about the physique of Wan Li is actually to be balanced in almost every moment he moves. When he moves, and when he doesn't move, he's obviously balanced a lot, like a stone
mm-hmm.
sitting there. Okay.
So how old do you picture him? I mean, is this a young magistrate, a little bit more seasoned, older? What are you picturing?
I picture it's like middle-aged, not
okay.
more than that.
So has some time on the road, has been through this. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. I think that gives us a good set of things to consider. Then what I'll have you do is look at the entanglements while I do the other introductions. There is a tab for that. I have some suggested example entanglements for each of the playbooks. And then there's a bigger list below if none of those appeal, but we'll come back to you on that. Let's move to your character, Misha.
Sure. My character's name is Hu Lihua. Her pronouns are she, her. She's an outsider with the role move trickster. And I'm picturing her as kind of like if you've seen the Handsome Siblings, she kind of looks like Tahua, the nomad girl.
Mm-hmm.
So she dresses in this colorful silks, and she has long black hair in braids. And I'm picturing her as a young kind of Wulin, the youngest sister of her clan, and she, as well as her clan, have this kind of, let's say, reputation for being troublemakers and, kind of rowdy and unorthodox. And her fighting style is called Eight Peaks. The style element is fire. She fights with a sword. And I'm picturing this style as kind of wild and unpredictable. Like her goal in combat is to just overwhelm her opponent with a flurry of attacks in a way that will keep them always, off balance and on their guard and unable to act.
Let me ask with that, are you picturing, is she using the more traditional long straight sword or the sort of the bigger, wider, like saber sword?
No,
What do you?
I'm picturing the long straight sword,
Okay,
the Jin.
okay. And what moves did you pick?
I picked a Deadly Secret, which lets her establish or ask details about somebody's reputation when she meets them first. And also Heroes Shed No Tears, which lets her choose two witnesses when she rolls a hit in her conflict for several benefits.
Excellent. And if would you imagine that that your family is a well-regarded member of the Wulin? Are you or are you sort of the we don't talk about those people of the Wulin or something else?
I'm definitely picturing the latter. I'm picturing that this clan is, prominent and important enough that they get invited to, official functions and weddings and whatnot, but people would rather just not have them there.
Are your sisters as much troublemakers as you are?
I want to say that the middle sister is, and the eldest sister is not.
Okay. So the eldest sister holds that role as kind of maybe leading the family. All right.
Yeah, she's the respectable one of the lot. Like playing the straight man to me and the middle sister's hijinks.
And what kind of, you kind of give me a sense, but again, what kind of clothing are we picturing?
I'm picturing like colorful, kind of baggy silks, maybe with very elaborate patterns. Some kind of matching headgear, like a silk hat.
Excellent.
Riding boots rather than sandals or slippers or whatever.
Interesting. All right, that gives us a good stuff to go on. we'll come back to you about entanglements. Again, you can take a look at those.
Will do.
That brings us to Mark. Mark, tell us about your character.
Yeah, so he is Lin Shun, the Bravo Gallivant. Lin Shun is a very he just likes to travel around and having a good time. Probably was not invited to this wedding. He has a easy way about him, relaxed smile, and very friendly. Usually dressed in something stylish but casual. Probably has something like a bare arms and sort of open chest. Hair up in a bun. Simple but stylish. His fighting style is called Rolling Tempest. The element's water, and it generally uses improvised weapons because he probably finds himself getting into trouble in unexpected environments. So just uses pretty much anything at hand to fight with. Yeah, so his roll move, he since he's traveling from place to place, he has a bad reputation, but can sort of wiggle around and can put consequences off on other people sometimes. He has the come drink with me move, where he, as long as he's interacting with someone, he can hold attention. And also, it takes a thief, which means he can slip from bonds and pass through locked doors and windows. Probably finds himself in circumstances like that where he has to make a quick getaway before someone comes back.
How old are you picturing him?
Probably mid-20s.
Okay. And in terms of his sort of background, does he come from a Wulin family of note and has kind of is trading on that, or has fallen on hard times, or is he kind of maybe from less distinguished and has brought himself up, or is he from the outside of the whole world? What do you picture there?
I think he's probably from a Wulin family, but kind of did not live up to whatever responsibilities he was put on him, and kind of fell out of favor with the family and decided to go off on his own.
And his dress was, you said, sort of simple, open shirt, that kind of thing. Colorful, more blacks and grays. What are you picturing for that?
Not like ostentatious, but you can tell it's definitely intentional. Not like, probably like muted colors, jewel tones, like stylish but not flashy.
And he has an improvised style. But do you think was he trained in another style? If he comes from a Wulin house, was he trained with another weapon? Or barehanded, or just more generally? What do you think?
I think it was probably a barehanded style.
Okay, and so has kind of adapted that to the style that he's using now. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Excellent. I think that gives us enough to go on introduction wise that we can talk about these things. Before I go into talking about entanglements, I want to go back to the lines and veils and make sure that we're all on the same page on that. I also want to encourage you to on Zoom, if you go to the three dots there, you should be able to rename yourself. It's at the top corner of your thing. It should be available for that. I encourage you to rename yourself to your characters' names, also with your characters' pronouns after that. That would really help me to track that kind of thing. So let's start. So our lines are hard lines on homophobia, racism, sexual assault, slavery, and torture. So these are things, they don't enter into our story concerns at all. We are not on the table. And then we have veils. If this happens, fade to black, we'll show it be off screen. Harm to animals, harm to children, sexual content, which is the Buffy, like move to a kiss and then we fade to black classic maneuver. So all of that is on there. The other thing I'll mention is on that safety tab, we have an electronic rolling room. I'll also put it in the chat. You feel free to use that, or if you want to use physical dice at home, you're also welcome to use those physical dice at home, just so you know about that. So those things are in play as our restrictions. So what I want to do is I'm going to come around and I'm going to ask each of you to establish one of your two entanglements. We'll kind of talk about what that might mean. We've got the list of NPCs. You can use those. In at least one of those two entanglements, I want you to include a PC, a fellow PC in that. And when you do that, we'll kind of make it as an offer and we'll check in with the other PC to see if they are cool with that relationship. So with that in mind, we're going to swing back to Wan Li. Would you like to discuss your general or your romantic entanglement first?
In order to do that, some information, or can we establish some of them about the brides and about who are the different clans and factions, so that I will do that with this in mind.
Yeah, sure. You can, if you want to ask or if you want to declare something, we could. This is all for us flexible. We know that the groom is Righteous Jade. We know the bride is Dawning Joy, and we have two other figures: a bride's father and a groom's chief of clan. So, do you want to ask or establish something about?
No, well, I wanted to ask because I saw bride's father and groom's chief, so it means that I suppose that it meant that there is a difference between the two families. One is actually a normal family, the other one is a family, or is a clan in which the person that is in charge of this blessing this marriage is actually not the father or the mother, but the chief.
So we've definitely got a Marshall family. The bride's family is definitely hereditary family line, things passed on, whereas the groom's family is probably more of an order kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay. So I was thinking if the romantic entanglements that you suggested for the loyal, there is mutual unrequited love between and I because of my duty too. The duty could be the chief.
Okay.
And my unrequited love is actually towards the bride.
Excellent. So you have unrequited love there between yourself and Dawning Joy.
Mm-hmm.
So you know each other, you've met in some fashion, maybe during the meetings of the two clans about the wedding, and somehow you've fallen in love. Do you think that your chief is aware yet? Do you think that Peerless Zalan is aware of your feelings yet?
I think yes. I think she's aware. I think my loyalty, my duty makes me pretty much. I think I said that. I told them this without expecting anything different from what is happening. So not being able to do this because obviously there are different reasons for this marriage, and we will see which they are. But they want to go through with that. So it's more important that the marriage an unhappy official, an unhappy magistrate.
Do you have a name for this clan? Can you give us a name for the
one of my chief?
Yeah.
I think that it could be the name of the clan is usually the name of a family, or not?
The name of something like that can be like Falling Leaves Society or
Okay.
the family, something like that.
I don't have a name in my
Okay.
on top of my mind. So if you have anything more, and
Yes.
even if the others
I
have
will.
something,
I will
Go.
steal. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is just steal what I just said, and we're going to call them the Falling Leaves Society. Okay. And at some point we'll come back and maybe during the play we'll figure out what they're all about. Okay. So we got your romantic. When we come back around, we'll figure out your general. You want to include one of the other PCs in that one. All right. That brings us to Hu Lehua. Which do you want to do first, your romantic or your general?
I want to do the general first, and I'm going to include a PC here. So
Okay.
just, checking in with Lin Shun, whether Lin Shun thinks this is fine. I want to say that my spouse secretly works for Lin Shun of an enemy clan, but I do not know it.
Ooh.
Sound good?
So now we know you're from enemy clans,
Yes.
and we know that you're married, which
Yes.
is interesting. So who is your spouse?
I'm going to say that my spouse is called, I haven't figured out a last name. Let's say
We've got some lovely pictures if you want to choose one of the existing NPCs.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's perfect.
So take a look through there, and who is Hu Lehua married to?
I'm going to say that she is married to Son of Stone and Wrath.
Son of Stone and Wrath.
Yes.
And it works for
Lin Shun.
Lin Shun's family. So that's interesting. So we know that there is a rivalry, a tension between your two houses. We know that Lin Shun has disappointed their family, but clearly has some influence there. Okay, I think that establishes. And you're all good with that, Mark?
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. So that gets us some notes there.
Yeah, I'll update Son of Stone and Wrath's little card in the
excellent.
the
Please. Yeah. So Mark, do you want to do your general or your romantic first?
I think general is going to work.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go with the last one. I was already thinking about this. Great. It works out. My parent, call him Lin Chao, suspects that my friend, Hu Lihua, is working against our faction. If that's okay with
Exciting, yeah.
So Hu Lihua, your friends, you've met, but your father has said that they're an enemy. You need to we need you to employ their husband. We know that that family is dangerous to us.
Yeah.
So we might not see your father directly on screen, or we might. Well, there'll certainly be some pressure from that, especially when you see Hu Lihua in the course of this. Okay, and that works for you again, Hu Lihua?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, that's perfect. It's really
excellent.
exciting.
All right, and we'll come back to talk about your romantic. So let's swing back to our lovelorn magistrate. Tell us what you'd like to do for your general entanglement.
Yeah, so I will be doing. I would like to do the first one that you suggest. I swore someone that I would protect someone else, but they would be offended if they knew.
Okay.
And I'm thinking that in some way. So you said that Lin Jun family is actually a rival family to the one of the bride, or to the one of the of the groom? I don't remember this.
We haven't established whether they're
Okay.
rivals to either of those. We know they're rivals to Hu Hua's family.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that I promised. So now we are making a connection between the magistrate, or at least the society, the Fallen Leaf Society, with Stone and Wrath, so Legion family.
Okay.
Because I promised Son of Stone and Wrath that I would protect Hu Hua, but she would be offended if she knew. Is that okay for you? Is
Sounds
that okay?
like her. All right, yeah.
So clearly, that also means that Son and Stone Wrath is going to be present, but they have other obligations or other duties that are keeping them from keeping an eye on Hu Hua, and they've come to you.
Probably.
What is the relationship between you and Son of Stone's Wrath? Are you friends? Are you sworn brothers? Are you just, he's coming to you as a magistrate? What do you think that connection is?
No, I think we know each other because we are friends, probably a bit more than friend, because I'm just helping him to do part of his job. I was covering some of the tracks, some of the legal parts, helping what's needed to be done from the official point of view, from the papers things. So we are friends. We work together on some of the things, so I helped him, even if that's not my real duty. So probably I did that when it wasn't a problem for them.
Okay, perfect. That gives us our general entanglement. Then let's move to Hu Hua. We have your general.
Yes.
So what is your romantic entanglement?
I'm going to say that I love Scholar of Hawks, the NPC,
Okay.
but their sibling, Donning Joy, the bride, considers me beneath them.
And so that is, so we know that Scholar of Hawks is a sibling to our bride here.
Yes.
Establish that.
So they'd be a member of the Fallen Leaf Society, probably.
Yeah. Well, no. Fallen Leaf Society is the groom.
Oh, right, the groom.
Yeah.
Sorry. Misread, my bad.
Yeah. So what do you want to call the family of the bride?
Can I get back to you on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll establish a name for them so that we have, the Falling Leaf Society is joining, forces with this house, this family. Let me ask you this. So Donning Joy knows you and is aware that you have, despite being married, have this affection for their sibling. Is Scholar of Hawks aware of your affection or unaware?
I think that they are aware, and it might be reciprocated, but there's like uneasy relationship with their sibling. It keeps them from actually ever acting on it, or God forbid, admitting it.
Okay. Perfect.
Maybe nobody notices but Donning Joy, because their family.
Excellent. And then let's come back to our Bravo. What is going to be your romantic entanglement?
Can I ask if you're reminded who Wan Li was enamored of someone? Is that right?
Yeah, I'm writing now.
The bride.
It was the bride.
Right. Yeah. I think it might be fun to do. My friend Wan Li and I are by for the attention of the bride, despite their indifference to both of us.
Ooh.
Okay.
Does that work out? for Wan Li?
Yeah.
The only thing I'll say is we've already established that there's not indifference between Wan Li and Dawning Joy. So that might kind of change up that original entanglement. But we can modify that. Let me suggest this variation on that. You're friends with Wan Li, and maybe you're aware of their love for Dawning Joy, but over time you've fallen in love with them too.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Does that work for you?
Cool. I liked it.
Awesome.
So we've got those entanglements established, and you can put those there in your character keeper. You will get to create bonds based on that. For each of your entanglements, pick one person from that entanglement and write that in under bonds, write in their name, and you'll start with one bond with them. Bonds are a currency that you can spend after you roll to boost your roll up. When you spend a bond, you're not like destroying the relationship, you're just calling on the connection, on the energy of it, and you can restore those through time. So you'll make that pick. What we're going to do now is we're going to take 10, take our first break here. And then when we come back, we'll establish some more things, we'll frame things up, and we will get rolling. Does that seem okay?
Yeah.
So we're back at about 15 after the hour. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome.
So we are going to talk about just a couple of mechanical things here. This is, as I mentioned, you most often when you go to do a move, you'll choose the element that you want to roll with and roll with that. There are two exceptions. One is whenever you fight, either dueling with somebody or dealing with troops, you always roll your style element. And then there's another move, that is inner conflict. And inner conflict is a roll that will happen when you are faced with the pain of some of your entanglements, when you're kind of caught in that inner turmoil. The good news is when we have you roll that, you get to mark XP. The bad news is you can't roll with your style element for that. You can never roll with that. That's the one stat that can't help you in that case. And that is a thing that will happen. The question I'll usually ask when we get a situation like that is I'll say, do you think that rises to the level of inner conflict? And you can decide whether it does or not. So that's one move. The other move that I want to mention as you think about play here is in PbtA, there are a variety of information gathering moves that are used to assess the situation. And often there's a list of questions. In Hearts of Wulin, we don't have a list of questions. When you roll and you get your hold to spend, you can ask anything. I might stop and ask you how you know that, just to kind of clarify that, but you can ask about a person, ask about a situation. But there are two other things that you can do with that study move. One is you can ask whether someone is a higher scale than you, meaning if you take them on in a fight, are they going to beat you? Because if someone is a higher scale than you, you're going to lose. The role is to see how badly you lose, or whether they're on your scale or whether they're below your scale. Those are sort of the three states. If someone is above your scale, then you can fight them and then go away and learn a new technique and come back to try and even things up. Or in a situation, you can do things to reduce their scale. You can do other actions to set them up, or have friends help out to do that. And that's a very open approach. But the last thing that you can do with study is you can spend that hold, rather than asking a question, you can declare something. You can declare a fact about the situation, like, I think this person loves me, or I think that there's a secret door here, or any of those kinds of things. You get to add those elements to that. Often it's, if you've thought of a question and then you've thought of what a great answer to it would be, you're just going straight to the answer and changing up the situation. And we adapt the story to fit with those changes. The only thing is you can't declare something about another PC, or if it's a PC that's tightly connected to somebody, we'll check in with the other PC about that. So those are the limitations of that. So the wedding is occurring shortly. People have gathered from around the Wulin world to arrive. This is an important day because it is going to join two groups, two clans that have had a long and embittered rivalry. This is the Falling Leaves Society, and then did we get a name for the brides group yet?
Yes, I want to call them the Heavenly Stone.
The Heavenly Stone. So and I've also, as always, when I type things in, I have.
Yeah, I wanted like a solid sounding name to contrast with, Falling Leaves.
It is said that, or is known that a few generations ago, these two houses were part of the same clan. And then there was a vision and a split. And for the last 3 generations, they have been at odds. But now the time has come for a marriage to rejoin the two houses, to rejoin the two styles. There are many that are pleased by this because it represents a new piece in the Wulin world, but there are many who are worried about this, both within the different clans and outside of it. As well, it is known that there have been some threats made against the wedding. One is a notorious unorthodox family known as the Red Sword Masters. They have threatened, and in fact, a couple of people from the clans have been attacked by someone just simply calling themselves the Red Sword Master. They have appeared. They've masked themselves in a red cloth. So that has been a threat, and probably part of the reason that our magistrate will be attending here, besides the connection of the families. Your chief might have left you back home because of your relationship, but with this threat overhanging things, that makes things more difficult. But the other thing is that it has been rumored that a thief, a legendary thief called Seventh Fox, is also planning on stealing some of the gifts that are to be presented between the two houses. So that is an issue that is present here. So let me start with this. Juan Lee, why is it that you are traveling to the wedding by yourself? You didn't come with your clan, you've come separately. What occurred? What has happened that has separated you?
I think that the reason is that it wasn't until the threats that the chief decided to get me here. So the rest of the magistrates, or the rest of the family and guards that I usually travel with, they were not available when I received the invite. They will be probably coming later, because I left I left information to reach us
Mhm.
at the wedding, but I started by going myself.
What was your feeling when you got this invite? You hadn't thought that you would be attending this. What are you feeling inside
No,
there?
I actually thought that I was glad that I wasn't attending, because in that case I would avoid any temptation and also any suffering from just being there and seeing this. I think that one of the things I did at first without thinking was to call on Ling Jun, because I don't think I am aware from the kind of relationship we share. Am I aware that he's enamored with or not?
Yeah, he is aware of your connection, but you're not aware of his
Okay.
feelings.
Mhm.
Okay, so I only know that he's the one that I confided with, and I ranted about the fact that I was in this predicament. So I will definitely inform him right away, asking him if he can help me take away the mind from that.
So Lin Jun, had you been intending on going to the wedding?
I think so. I think I had heard about it, and it sounded like a good time. So, and a couple of my friend is there, so why
Yeah.
not?
So when Wan Li came to you and confessed the turmoil that they're feeling and that they are going to the wedding, will you accompany them? What was your reaction when you'd been planning on going but maybe not telling him?
Yeah.
What was your reaction at that point?
I think it was maybe a little bit of feigned surprise, like, "Oh, you want me to come? Of course, yeah, anything for you." I had other plans, but this is, of course, I'll drop everything and come.
How come you have everything already packed?
Yeah, exactly.
So we would see the two of you traveling a short way outside of the city, but we see you stop at one of those roadside tea houses, fairly open air. It has a second level, but you can kind of look down from up above. You come in, and the master of the house greets both of you and gestures for you to come and sit, and food is put down there in front of you, and you have a chance. Do you think? I mean, it's afternoon. Is this tea or wine time?
It's definitely wine time for Lin Chun.
Wan Li?
I think that Wan Li would probably have tea, but at this moment, since the situation, he will join with the wine.
Yeah, and probably a bad influence encouraging. I mean, it's a long trip. We have you need to keep your energy up. Tea is for old men.
Also, the awkward situation is that I am definitely older than
Yeah.
June, but it's okay.
Hu Lihua?
Yes.
Oddly, the wedding is coming up and so on, but oddly, your husband, son of Stone and Wrath, sent you on a task, a journey that would take you out of town. You will have completed it quickly, but what did they send you to do?
I think that my husband sent me to find some more gifts for the bride and groom. He suddenly decided that the stuff we had brought with us from our province was, not up to snuff, not sufficient. So, my bad. 1 second.
Sure.
Yeah, sorry, my dog gets kind of rowdy sometimes.
It's okay.
Yeah. So he sent me to find, fine jades and silks and, local handicrafts, because he thought that our gifts, our idea, like me and some of my traveling companions who thought we would just give them a horse, he thought it was, uncouth and inappropriate.
His family, perhaps his household is a little more perhaps sophisticated than your own. So do you think that his desire to, I mean, his sending you out, does Hu Lihua feel like it was the right thing to do, or are you more resentful of having to go do this?
No, I am very resentful. I just wanted to get to the place where the wedding would take place quickly, and I feel like I am being made to waste time. My I fought with my sisters over who got to actually attend the wedding because I wanted to see Scholar of Hawks.
Mm-hmm. So you have returned back. You were seated in the upstairs of this tea house. You stopped for just a quick drink, a meal. The gifts had already been sent on, but you have noticed that there were a group of people here in the upstairs that gave you that vibe that something was going on. Seemed to be a group of essentially troops of the rank and file, and then a pair of young men. They look like twins, both clearly Wulin. They have their blades at their side, and they've been sitting there drinking very little, but they've clearly been waiting and been watching, like, what is going on here? And then you hear the voices of people that you know. You've met Wan Li, you've met Lin Shun. You hear their voices as they come in, and the atmosphere of these people upstairs completely changes. They stop drinking. They ready their weapons. And you see them like they're clearly getting ready to perhaps ambush these new arrivals down below. So Hu Lihua, what do you want to do?
I would like to basically, let's say, test the waters, try to figure out how good these people are at fighting.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand up with my teacup in my hand, and I'm going to like pretend to trip and drop it, and to get a read, like get a gauge on their reflexes, see how fast they are at catching that teacup.
So that definitely feels like a study action. You've got
Yes.
some specific intent. Let's have you roll.
So
what do you want to roll that with?
I feel like that that would be fire, I think, because it's creativity.
Absolutely. Please risk your fighting style element right away. I love it.
Yeah. So that's 2d6 plus 2.
So that
7.
is 7. So you have one hold, and your intent was to gauge their scale, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think that you'll get a read. These troops are definitely, like, they are our troops. You know that they're probably going to try and pin in and lock people down. The twins, you think individually, one-on-one, they are probably on your scale, like they are that good. However, it's the way that they move together. They both move to catch it. So you're like, oh, together, if they're fighting together alongside each other, they are definitely above my scale.
Right.
And they'll move to catch it, and they, as one, they hand the teacup back to you, and they say, you should probably sit back down.
I would say, oh, thank you. I am so clumsy. Oh, dearie me.
We cut downstairs as Wan Li, Lin Shun. You both know Hu Lihua, and you hear her voice coming from the upstairs of this tavern. Wanli, what do you do?
I get close to Ling Jun and say, did you hear that too? I think
Yeah, and I think Lilchen just when you say that, it's like, yeah, I think that was, and stands up and looks up to the balcony and waves, Huliwa, come down and join us. Is that you?
And you, as you look up, you definitely see that there are a couple of Wulin that are there in front of her, and another group of people, and they are moving around up there, but not moving to come down the stairs. And there's a little bit of tension suddenly as you call out there. The feeling, the atmosphere in here changes. Out of the corner of your eye, Wanli, you see the innkeep is behind whatever passes for the bar. You see him and hides down behind the bar like he knows something is about to happen. Hu Li Hua, what do you do?
I'm going to greet my friends, but very loudly, in a way that makes it clear that we are, if not allies, at least friends, and we've got each other's back in this tense situation. Like I go, oh my God, Lin Shun, Wanli, it's been such a long time. How have you been? I have so many stories from the provinces to tell you.
I can't wait to hear them. Sit down and have a drink with us. We're on our way to a wedding.
Oh, you too. That is wonderful. I've been invited as well.
You've been invited. Oh,
Yes.
I was just invited by Wanli here, so it's such a happy time.
Oh, I came with my husband, but Lord knows where he is right now.
Yeah, I think I knew you were coming, so I'm happy to have met you here. Join us.
Li Hua, do you move past these two and head down to join your friends downstairs?
Yes, or at least I'm going to try.
You'll move past them. They're clearly like, okay, assessing, and they kind of wait for you to move past them, and those troops kind of drop out of the windows up there. They're clearly dropping out to come down the front door, and these twins start to move, follow up behind you. But you have a moment to get to the table before they can do anything.
Do we notice these movements or not?
Yeah. So you've been alerted that something is odd. You, out of the corner of your eye, you see essentially these bandit killer ruffians drop. They're getting ready to assemble and come in through the front doors, and there are these two warriors that are following up behind Hu Li Hua with murderous intent.
Okay.
Hu Li Hua, do you say anything? What do you do?
I would like to use my move, a deadly secret.
Okay.
Because I feel like this counts as a faction or a group.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to stop dead in my tracks and turn around and ask the person, I feel like I've seen you around before. Do we know each other? Or are you just walking so close to me for some other reason?
Do you have do you want to declare something, or do you want to ask a question about this group here?
I want to ask.
Okay, so what is your question?
My question is, do they maybe wear some kind of uniform or telltale, garment that will let me know what kind of people they are, whether they're part of a Wulin sect or just assassins or bandits?
So you know, and I kind of now kind of put this together that these must be the two-faced killers, and that must be their gang. They are a set of twins that are coordinated. They are often hired to dispatch essentially anyone that they will take the coin to kill, and they're definitely here on assignment. Does that seem like fair info?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Is this considered a violent situation already, or that's
Not yet.
during a
It is
fight?
not yet broken out into a violent situation.
I think I invite the twins to come drink with us. And use my move to hold their attention. I'll say, Huliwa, who are your friends? Come and share some wine with us.
We just met.
Are they two men?
Yeah, two men.
Gentlemen, come sit at our table. What brings you to this place? Looks like your other friends have left you, so sit with us. Tell us your story.
There is that moment of awkwardness where they're looking at Hulihua, they're looking at that, but they feel that social obligation. And I think we get that scene of Hulihua sitting down, and then these two sit down in their chairs. They do that thing where they've kind of leaned back. They've got enough space to go for their weapons. The troops outside kind of stop because they don't know what's going on now. They're like, okay, the bosses are doing something, and they sit down, and they nod, and they will pick up a bowl and take a drink.
And I ask their names and where they're from and where they're going.
And they will pause, and one will say, I am Jan, and this is Shun. We are brothers.
We must be brothers, obviously.
Yes,
which
obviously.
one of you is older? And I laugh and take a drink.
And they're looking, and they're like, now that they've sat down, they've had that drink, there's that obligation where they're kind of held here by that. They would like to draw weapons, they would like to attack, but there's a certain formality here. Wan Li, what are you doing?
So since we had all the clues on all the information, and now this is the situation, I think that I was sitting down, and the staff is actually under the table. So I'm waiting for the right moment to use the staff to bring at least one of out of balance. But I will not do that unless there is the actual moment to stop the violence.
Right.
So I am prepared to do that. I spent this moment in which they were drinking and the other were talking, being silent and waiting for that and preparing for that action.
Yeah. You're kind of seated across. You've judged how far they are, how you can use that staff to get in between them, to push them apart. There, you're kind of waiting. They're waiting too. It's super quiet now. We can we maybe hear a little bit of the sound of the troops outside, the sound of the drinking, maybe the cicadas start outside. We hear that sound. Hulihua, what do you want to do?
Yes, I'm going to notice what Wan Li is doing or trying to do, and I'm going to try to create this opening for him to, do his staff thing. So what I'm going to do is say, if you'll excuse me for a few minutes, gentlemen, I'm going to go outside and catch some air. It's getting really stuffy in here, don't you agree? And what I'm going to do is go outside, and like the minute I step outside, I'm going to try to to fight all the troops at once.
Absolutely. So we see you move, they get tense, everything gets tense there. You move to the doorway. And I think Lin Shun, you'll realize that the situation is about to change as well. Then we're going to start with this is I think we're going to do the deal with troops outside. We'll do Wan Li's breaking and reducing their scale, and then we'll come to Lin Shun and see how you want to duel, and then we'll kind of wrap around. So you step out the door. There are a dozen of these troops outside. Hu Lihua, what does it look like when you start into them?
Well, like I said, I step outside and just give them no time to react. Like the moment I set 1 foot outside the door, I'm going to draw my sword, like the straight double-edged sword, and just you know, in wuxia TV shows when they like float towards somebody, sword extended like that, towards whoever is closest.
Then let's have you roll deal with troops. You roll that with your style element.
Yeah. That's another 7, I think. Yeah.
That is a 7. So you are a whirlwind. Suddenly you're in the middle of them before they can react. They've been kind of waiting, like they were uncertain, and then suddenly you're in there. And before any of them realized, 3 of them are already on the ground. And then you're spinning around. When you have to face the mass of them, what do we see? What tells us about your style and the style element that you're using?
Well, if anybody was, watching, they would see that she seems to be swinging wildly in a way that is, very unpredictable, that makes people not want to approach because they have no idea when one of these seemingly random wild swings is going to come their way. But she's like a flurry. You see this whirlwind of silk and the long braided hair whipping around.
Perfect. So yeah, they go flying backwards, and of course, when that breaks out, Wan Li, that's your signal. So to do this, to kind of break them up, to reduce their scale, is it standard what we call overcome action? What element do you want to use for that? You can use your fighting element, or you can use something else.
So I can use something different than because it's not the duel already. It's just separating them.
Yeah, this is you like setting these 2 up.
Okay, so let me check. I think that I could roll metal. Because I think I have spent time calculating the right moment, the right way to hit the 2 chairs in a way to separate them, and then obviously focus on the one that is close.
Perfect.
So I will roll 2 dice and add 1. So it's the first time I use these things.
Sure.
I have to use the plus. No, yeah, it's not. Yeah. It's okay. Oh, it's very easy. Sorry. I'm just 1 and 4. Wow.
Oh, so
my usual luck.
So with metal, so you're a 3. So what goes wrong? What do you think happens here? Is it that they spot you? Is it the staff gets stuck? What goes wrong?
What are they using as a weapon? Is it visible?
It looks like they've got those kind of wide blades, but they're short wide blades that they're kind of using in tandem. Like you see those come out.
Okay, so maybe what goes wrong is that I have calculated correctly, but they seen me calculate it. So they react exactly when they expect that I do the thing, and they just react by putting the 2 blades in the floor. Avoiding the effect of separating them.
You
Can
kind
they-
of brace, yeah. You do the hit, you land on them, but they've braced against that.
Yeah.
And one of them does swing up with the blade as they pull it back, and mark your metal as they cut you with that. Lin Shun, it looks like this did not go according to plan. And you see
Definitely
your
not.
friend Juan Li, big guy, does that, and the table is shattered by the staff coming up, and like there's splinters everywhere, but these two are still there. They're still together, and Juan Li is bleeding. What do you want to do, Lin Shun?
I think I take my wine cup and throw it in the face of whichever one's closer, Shun, and sort of do a step around, around the outside of him, get behind him, and try and like lock arms and like swing him around away from his brother.
Perfect. I think this is another othercome action. You're still trying to break their formation. You throw the wine. What do you want to roll that with? This is a little less calculating.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be water, because I'm kind of like trying to like get around and do that. So
Let's have you roll.
What plus 2? Cool. D6 plus 2. That is a 4.
That is a 4 total. Wow, those are 2 snake eyes in a row. So I think that when you go to do that, like you throw the wine, and the blade comes up, kind of deflects it, and then you grab him and he twists and he actually throws you. And I think we get that classic, he throws you down that bar. So you slide knocking down the wine, so everything goes flying over there. And let's have you mark your water.
Yeah.
I think here we're in a combat situation, and these two lock back to back, and are kind of moving up on Wan Li. Hu Lihua, these troops are on the ground, but you look back, you see Wan Li kind of falling back. You see Lin Shun has been thrown. What do you want to do?
Are any of them in like immediate danger, like in need of saving right now?
I don't think they're in immediate danger, but you can tell that these two, like they are definitely here to kill someone, and they've got a couple people there to kill. Probably Wan Li. He's a magistrate.
Right. So what I'm going to try to do is try to fight them both at a time, even knowing that I cannot defeat them if they're together. But I want to create this opening for my friends to either get away or catch their breath, whatever they think is fine.
Absolutely. So when you fight someone above your scale, when you duel someone above your scale, go ahead and roll that.
I rolled a 6.
You rolled a 6. Now, here is where we say, do you want to burn a bond?
Yeah, I was going to say so. I'm going to burn my one bond with Lin Shun.
All right.
Maybe I'm thinking I wanted a quiet evening and I have to protect this dude.
Yeah. No quiet evenings with Lin Shun.
So I'm going to turn this into a 7.
Yeah. So you have to mark an element, but you do get to choose what element you want to mark. What happens? How do you hold them but lose? Like what do we see on screen here?
I'm going to try to get between them because my goal is for them to hesitate before they attack for fear of hitting each other.
So you get very close in with your wild swings. But there is that moment when you do that, and then they kind of leap back, and as they leap, they kick you. You know, their legs kind of come up and kick you back, and you shatter a table as you go flying backwards from that. But you've created a little bit of an opening. Wan Li, these two are still coordinated together, but suddenly Li Hua has leapt in and given you a little bit of space to work in. What do you want to do?
So the idea is obviously to try and fight one and not both of them, but unless something distracts one of them, it won't happen. So if I go head on, I will be in the same situation of Uliwa, right?
Yeah.
It's above my scale, and obviously I will lose the conflict.
So what do you want to do to break them up? You've tried the staff in the middle. What's a different tactic here you have?
Is there a column?
Yeah, there's definitely the big wooden columns that are holding up that second floor. Yeah.
If they are, obviously it works better if they are below the second floor, even, and we are not, so it will not come completely on our heads. But if I will try to do that anyway.
Perfect. Let's have you roll.
What kind of
so this is still an overcome, I think,
okay.
for kind of simple actions. What do you feel is the appropriate element for doing this, kind of trying to bring down the upper level onto them?
I think if it makes sense, I've waited doing things because I've been cut, but then Huliwa and Lin Xun, they distracted them, so I spent that time patiently waiting for my opening. So I think I'm rolling for wood.
Okay, let's have you roll that.
And it's 1, 2. With 1 bonus. And it's
all right. So that is an 8. So your staff swings out and shatters that column. You've kind of looked, calculated, and you'll bring down that section that's just over them, and they have to leap in different directions. They split apart as that happens. But I think that there's part of it that comes where you're at and kind of knocks you backwards. You're not going to take any kind of not the market element, but you're sort of thrown away. You can't immediately capitalize on it. I think that's a cost. Does that feel okay?
Yeah. So I'm actually giving an opening to Lin Xun.
Yeah.
To get one of them.
Lin Xun, you see that suddenly, and innkeeper's like, no, and everything, there's wine everywhere. Any people that were upstairs have kind of fallen down into this, and one of the twins is close to you, another one is jumped at the other end. What do we see you do?
I think I roll off the bar back to where the keeper is, and sort of like look around for something, and I'm just like mouth like, I'm so sorry, and start grabbing jars of wine and just hucking him at the closer one's head.
Absolutely. So this is dual. He is on your scale. Your scale is the same as your foes here. And your style element is water. So go ahead and roll with water.
And I still roll with water even though it's checked.
Have you check? I don't think I had you. Do I have you checked that? Yeah, I did. So here is your option. Rather than rolling with since you would have to roll with water, one of the options when you went to mark water, you could mark wounded instead, meaning that you took a physical wound, and it gives you -2, but it means you can still fight. Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, I think taking a wound from getting thrown across the bar is
okay. So a little bruised, a little torn. So you're rolling with a +0, but you've got a couple bonds to spend. So let's see that.
All right, let's see what happens. That's a 7.
Okay. So on a 7 to 9, you can win at a cost, which means you mark an element. They escape, you lose reputation. You can lose and mark XP, or you can deadlock, meaning that you kind of both are caught up in this and reveal a detail or ask a question about them.
I think. I think I want a deadlock. I'm trying to think of what that looks like here. Am I asking a question in fiction, or asking you a question about?
You can ask a meta question. We'll figure out how you discover that in the fiction.
I think the deadlock is like as I'm throwing the stuff at him, like he's probably dodging.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to maybe reveal a weakness of it, like in the way he moves or something like that.
Oh, absolutely. So let's give. We'll give you +1 forward from this. This seems, since you're asking, kind of thing. And I think what it is that because he always fights alongside his brother, he's strong on his left-hand side, but his right-hand side, he definitely is weak. That he's used to having his brother covering that, and you're like, there, I have to hit him that way. And even as he's coming, over towards you, because having the wine thrown at him is sort of humiliating.
Provoking.
Yeah. Now his attention is on you. Kind of leaps on the counter, and he's getting ready to come at you. Hu Li Hua, the two brothers are separated. Lin Shun has engaged one. What do you want to do?
I'm going to try to engage the other.
Okay. Move over again. He's getting up. He's got his short blade out. You've got your sword come in with that sort of reckless attack.
Yes.
Let's have you roll.
That's a 14.
That is a 14. Tell me, this guy he's fast. He's got the short blade. You're turning it aside. Tell me how you look awesome dropping him.
So Hu Li Hua her first move is to kick over, let's say, a stool toward this man's face, and she just dashes behind the stool and starts swinging. This man cannot get an opening. He's just, blocking with his short sword. But after blocking, let's say 15, 20 blows, it shatters. It just breaks in half. And my sword goes through that and slashes him across the chest.
Absolutely. Are you showing mercy, or are you dropping this hired killer?
I am dropping him. Yeah.
Okay. He'll fall back, and of course falls back onto a stool and kind of collapses. You'll hear from the other side, no, from his brother over there. Wan Li, what do you want to do? You kind of gotten some debris on you. You see that Lin Shun is engaged, and you think, carefully sizing up his foe.
I think that I get out of the debris with just my size, pushing everything off of me, and I think I call directly to the surviving twin. All saying, right. I boom, saying, you've seen how it goes. Stop right now and tell us who paid you to do this, and we'll let you live.
Oh, nice.
So,
and I do this by pushing the staff on the ground in front of me.
This is Strife for Mastery. Let's have you give this order. What do you want to roll that with?
Let's say probably with Earth.
Okay.
Because it fits. Ooh. And it's a 12.
That is a 12. So what option do you not want them to pick of that list of choices?
I don't think they want to freeze,
Okay.
but I could obey, step aside, or master a weak defense, a weak assault.
I think that they recognize the peril of the situation. The brother that they would count on to back them up is dead. They're covered with shards of jars and wine, and I think there is that moment where they put their blade away. Kind of look over at Lin Shun, look at you. We were sent to kill the magistrate.
Yeah, that was clear. Why and by whom?
I do not know. All I know is that it was someone from the Heavenly Stone.
How did you know this?
There were signs. We were paid anonymously, but when we met with this masked figure, I could see a little bit of their clothing. They were clearly wearing the marks of that place, but we didn't ask any further.
I called for the bartender that was hiding.
Yes.
You should, yeah, close him in your warehouse. I will send guards to pick him up later.
And you'll tie his hands and feet and put him in the storehouse there. They'll tend to the bodies. Some of the troops have run away. Some of them they need coffins. And finally, the three of you have a chance to talk to one another here in the aftermath of this. What are you saying to your compatriots, Hu Hua?
I'm saying that I think this wedding is going to have to really be something else to match the excitement of this little tea party we had.
I am afraid
that can be arranged.
I am afraid that if this is the situation that we are in just before getting to the wedding, I'm afraid that the wedding would be just an escalation from this.
Yeah, it's likely that we are not the only people in danger, and that the wedding is going to might turn bloody unless we manage to stop it somehow.
You want to stop the wedding?
No, stop the violence.
Ah, okay.
No,
Although stopping the
I want
wedding is not
wedding
off
to
the
go through,
table.
right?
If maybe postponing the wedding wouldn't be a bad idea.
Well, I wouldn't want to be the one to tell the bride's family or the groom's family to postpone the wedding. So we'll figure something out, I think. But at this point, I think that we should get cleaned up, get some rest, and meet back up at the wedding itself.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's take.
I apologize to the innkeep. Just
no, it's all right.
Little bow.
You be compensated.
Oh, good. Absolutely. That once he hears compensation money, he is extremely relieved. Let's take a 5-minute bio break, and when we come back, we'll be on scene at the wedding, and we'll have you talk to some people and get situated. All right.
Awesome.
Okay.
Take 5. So you have a time to travel between scenes. We'll take up there. That means that you have a chance to recover. So everybody may clear a checked element or wounded. essentially, you get to that chance to take a breath. In play, if you were going from scene to scene, you might not have that opportunity, and it might build up to clear one. So we take up later. The three of you have arrived at the wedding. Preparations are in full swing. They're getting the grand pavilion set up. There's silks and ribbons around. Servants are running in all kinds of directions. Guests are arriving and being greeted and gathering in different places. You'll see the marks of different Wulin orders there, various different clans, including probably people from, depending on where you're at, from your own household. And I think that you'll be caught up almost immediately in the hustle and the chaos of the scene. So Wan Li, when you arrive, what is it that you want to do immediately?
Well, the immediate thing is to follow protocol and go directly to the chief.
Okay.
So I think that I look for her as soon as possible. Do I find her or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that you will see her, but you also see, as you're going through that corridor, you'll see dawning joy. She's talking to a servant. She's at an out-of-the-way place. Who do you go talk to?
I think that I'm going in the direction of in the moment someone cuts my way, cuts my road in the direction of her, of Donny Joy. I think I will follow this other person as some kind of a screen, a shield.
Uh-huh.
And I go to Donny Joy.
I would like you to roll inner conflict, because I think you are torn a little bit here as you go to do that. You get to mark XP.
So because in a conflict, I can choose everything except the style, right?
That is correct.
Okay. I think that I'm going to roll then fire.
Okay.
So it's no modifier and roll. So I must either flee the scene or mark an element. Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to mark fire and hold yourself there?
Yes.
Okay. So you kind of gather yourself up, and there's that moment when Dawn and Joy sees you, and her face lights up, and she says, "Wan Li, I understood that you were not coming."
No. I'm here on the chief orders. Also, it seems that the situation is needs to have different officials and people that are able to defend the wedding.
So you're here just because your chief called you?
That is what brought me here, but I'm not just here for that.
What are you here for?
To make sure that you are safe.
I am to be married tomorrow.
I know.
And I think she looks down. There's that quiet, that kind of silence there, and she looks up. Well, I hope that we can talk before then.
Yeah, I hope that too. Maybe in a room without all these people.
I will see what I can do.
And I think I try to distance myself before it becomes evident to the chief or to someone else that
Try to play casual.
Obviously-
Oh, we just talking and kind of try to move back.
obviously in a very goofy way, probably.
Yeah. Lin Shun, you will see that, kind of watching, you kind of looking for Dawning Joy, I assume, and you see your friend Wan Li go over.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there what am I trying to say? Is there like a bridal party associated with her, like a
Yeah,
bridesmaids or attendants or whatever?
exactly.
Are they nearby her?
Oh, they're probably gathered out there talking here, watching the people arrive.
And she's the one that's from the Heavenly Stone, right?
Yes.
I think what Lin Shun does is sort of ingratiate himself with some of the ladies of the wedding party on her side, and start telling the story of the fight we had at the roadhouse, and embellishing ridiculously, and making sure that folks from the Heavenly Stone hear about our tremendous exploits defeating the assassins who were sent by some unknown person to kill all of us.
So yeah, you will start to tell that story to you know, there is laughter. Some of them are Wulin, and they appreciate the tales of this, and this is the kind of thing you're very good at, right?
Yeah.
Embellishments. At some point, suddenly a wine cup has appeared in your hand.
Mhm.
Someone has poured it for
I talk
you.
about how Wan Li destroyed, you know, an entire wall, bringing the upper story down on an entire army of bandits and all that stuff.
And I think that as you are kind of telling that story, you will see one of your brethren from your house. They're a little estranged, but from your house, come over and tug at your sleeve and says, Lin Shun, sorry to interrupt your story, but I have words from your father.
Oh, of course. I'll finish the story later. Find me this evening. I need to talk to my friend here.
And he will ask you to step, and he will say, Lin Shun, your father has given me orders to give to you.
Orders? Interesting.
He indicated that this was important, and that, and again, I must say these are words from your father and not from me, you will understand?
Of course.
That the task that I am to tell you of, you must complete, or he will consider you no longer of the clan.
I'm surprised he considers me his son at all, but continue.
Yeah. But you are supported by the family in part. I think he meant that any support that way would be cut.
Oh, well, in that case, please go on.
Your father has received information of his suspicions that Hu Lihua is an agent against our household.
That's ridiculous. Huliwa, I go back to. There's no way she would work against us. Well, what does he accuse her of?
That is neither here nor there. You are to take the opportunity to challenge Hu Lihua and to kill her.
I think Lin Jun becomes very serious at this point. To kill her.
These are your father's orders.
And after like a moment of like grim seriousness, or like the facade comes back up, like, of course, whatever father says. Here, share a drink with me. This is the happy occasion.
And they're a little surprised by your attitude, but they will take a drink. What word should I carry back to your father?
Tell him that I will do what needs to be done.
Absolutely. He's just over there, so I will go and tell him.
And I look over and raise my cup to him and walk the other way.
Do you think this rises to the level of inner conflict?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Let's have you roll. What do you want to roll that with?
I think it's gonna be metal.
Okay. Control calculation. Yeah.
Yeah, reflection. So that's just straight up, I think.
Yeah.
Cool. 2d6. That's a 6.
That is a 6. Now you can burn a bond if you want to take it to a 7.
Let's see. I think I'm burning a bond with Huliwa.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's put you in a position. You have a choice now. You can mark the element that you rolled with to keep yourself steady in the situation. Or,
actually,
yeah.
I think I'm not going to burn the bond, and
okay,
we'll make it worse.
Then I think that we will see as this conversation is going on, someone speaking with dawning joy, and we see them handing a note off, and we realize that it is Scholar of Hawks. And we see her or them kind of look, and we see them looking over at you, Lin Shun.
And that was who was looking over at me?
Scholar of Hawks, the sibling to the bride. And we see them look over at you, and we hear that musical swell that we can tell they were at the back of your tail. They heard this, and you can tell, we can tell the audience that for some reason they have suddenly fallen in love with you.
Awesome.
Hu Lihua, when you arrive, what are you doing?
I think that the first thing I want to do is to go see Scholar of Hawks, who I haven't seen for, let's say, like a year.
Yeah.
And, I miss them dearly and want to know if that is mutual.
So I do think that you've kind of gotten delayed. You've gotten, people have asked about what's going on. They've heard the story. You talk with some people, and by the time you get over and you see Scholar of Hawks, you see that Scholar of Hawks is standing there with their sister, the bride. And there is that moment where you see that longing glance that Scholar of Hawks is giving your good friend, Lin Shun.
Oh no. So
See
what I'm
her,
going to do
she
is
kind of puts her hands up. They put their hands up and take that long sigh.
so I'm going to try to look my best, make sure like my hair is fine, my clothes seem pressed, let's say,
Uh-huh.
um, and confidently try to walk over to where a Scholar of Hawks is.
Yeah.
Even though I find Don't Joy kind of intimidating because I know she doesn't really approve of me.
Is this inner conflict?
I think it is, yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Let's have you roll. What do you want to roll that with?
I think I'm going to try to roll with water. I think awareness seems relevant here. Like I'm trying to gauge everybody's
Yeah.
relationships to each other at this point. So an 8.
So that's an 8.
Yes.
So do you want to mark water
Yes.
or another element and keep yourself steady there?
No, I'm going to mark water. I
Okay.
think that uncertain, isolated, and depressed kind of sounds like how Holy Hua might be feeling right now.
And certainly you'll see Scarlet Hawk sees you startled. Huli Hua.
Oh, Scholar Fox, it's been like you see her stammering and like searching for words. It's been a long time. I've missed you. She immediately realizes that she's being like too forward and too direct in the presence of Dunning Joy as well.
And there's that
And
moment Donnie Joy does that, closes the fan very loudly to make that point as
I love the
you
prop.
are effusive. And Donnie Joy says coldly, I will leave you two to speak, but I hope that you will both realize the tasks and duties that you have here for the wedding.
I say, oh well, oh of course, and I do this kind of too exaggerated bow because I am feeling very nervous and on the spot.
Please give my greetings to your husband, son of
Oh,
stone and wrath.
oh, has he not arrived yet?
He was not here earlier today.
Huh. Oh well, I'm sure he'll get here eventually. I will give him your regards.
Yes, do that.
Can I approach the pair as the bride is leaving and sort of like give her like a, hey, how you doing on the way, and come up and join these two?
Is that okay with you, Hua?
Of course, yes.
Yeah, the kind of, maybe there's a moment where you think, okay, this is the chance that I'm going to have to speak with Scholar of Hawks finally. And then you see Lin Shun has come up, and suddenly Scholar of Hawks is, her fan is out, face down.
I think I put my arm around Huliwa and try to. I think I'm gonna do the comfort and support if I can.
Oh,
And just sort of be
absolutely.
like, oh, I see you're talking to my friend here. She's just the best. You should have seen her this afternoon. And just trying to like wingman basically.
Perfect. Let's
Yeah.
let's have you roll. What do you want to roll here for your storytelling to lift them up?
I think this is gonna be fire. Yeah, passion.
Meanwhile, I'm like playing along and saying, oh yes, we got into this fight and we were all amazing. We kicked ass at it.
You cut down a dozen swordsmen in one blow. That's an 8.
Yeah.
An 8. So you can have them give you a bond with them, Lin Shun. You would write down a bond with Hu Li Hua, or you can allow Hu Li Hua to clear an element.
I think I'm gonna let them clear an element.
Okay.
Right. Thank you.
So you do feel a little relieved, right? That
Yes.
your friend is talking up, and Scar of Hawks. Well, I heard something of the story that Lin Shun told earlier. It was quite a tale, but who would have attacked you?
Oh,
And
you know
why?
how bandits are on the road. They assumed that Wally probably had some money being a magistrate and everything, but Huliwa was really the hero of this. I exaggerated my part, in telling the story because it's a party, but in all honesty, Huliwa was really the one that saved everyone.
Oh, you're too kind. I think it was a group effort, definitely. I couldn't have done it without you. And well, the important thing is we are safe now, and I'm sure that whatever danger befell us has been dealt with.
You say, well, I must go, as my sister asked. I have some preparations to do, but I hope I will be able to speak with both of you again later.
Of course.
Yes, of course. If you want, I can call on you later tonight.
I'll find you.
All right, if you say so.
And they will bow and will leave, leaving you with Lin Shun there.
I will say to Lin Shun, well, thank you for the save. I was just not feeling myself right then, and yeah, you really saved me.
You saved me earlier. I was cowering behind the counter with the shopkeeper when you struck down that assassin. So
Oh yeah, I guess that's
I owe
true.
you my life.
Oh, I wouldn't go so far, but I appreciate your kind words. Surely we can find something to do now. I think there's a lot of preparations to do.
Maybe it doesn't have to be tonight. Maybe you could show me. Maybe you could teach me something. Maybe we could have a friendly duel of some kind.
Yes, I'm sure everybody would appreciate the entertainment.
Yeah, and an exhibition.
Of course.
I'll find you later on.
Juan Lee, let's cut back to you. You arrive. You've had this conversation. You'll make your way over to your chief. The chief acknowledges you. Hasn't seen that you were speaking with the bride. You kind of brief them on the attack, and
specifically, I underline the fact that someone made them the bandits think that they were hired by the bride family, or the bride family hired them to attack me. But I think it was me and people that are related to you and the society.
we have heard more rumors of threats here. I would not have called you back if the matter were not serious.
Yeah, I understand this. But do you have any suspicion? Do you think that this is this someone that is trying to convince us that the bride's family is in some way sabotaging this marriage? Or do you think that it is actually true there is some infighting inside that family?
Let me ask you this, Wan Li. Do you think anyone is aware of your feelings or of the bride's feelings besides myself?
I don't think so.
Because if someone were aware of that, that would be my suspicion as to why you might be targeted.
Chief, are you sure you haven't called me here in order to bring them out, if that is the case?
We will see. It may simply be that you are one of the most brilliant magistrates among our family, and they feared your presence here. Let us hope it is simply that.
I don't like my chances just with hope. I think I'd like to do something. So I'm asking you permission to investigate here.
You have my permission. I will be involved in many matters here of protocol. So
I'm asking you if you can give all the guards and the servants information that I have free roaming capability inside the marriage venue.
I will tell our people, but you must act with a little bit of discretion. Be cautious. Do not ruffle feathers. Do not upset anyone in your work.
Okay.
And she will let you start. So what do you want to do? What does investigating look like for Wanli? Like where do you want to start?
Well, obviously there is two layers on this. Having free roaming means that I can move around with more ease and maybe find a way to get in touch with Don't Enjoy again without raising too many suspicions and etc. But obviously the first thing that I want to do is use my role move, actually.
Okay.
So we never decided what was the category,
yes,
the contact type. So I think that it may be. I wanted to use it before when we were going out the tea house. But I'm thinking about the fact that I have good connections with all the entertainment the part all the people that work with tea houses, restaurants, things like this.
Yes.
Probably because I come from a family that originally was doing that, was owning a restaurant or something like that, and I kept my connections with them, even going up the social ladder.
Yeah. So I think we see you like where the musicians are practicing. We see a woman with one of those zithers laid out in front of them, and they know you, and Magistrate Wanli.
I salute them with an informal salute.
It's an unexpected pleasure. We haven't seen you since you traveled through the South.
Yeah, that's true. I've been busy with many things, but I'm happy to see you here. I think you are perfect for this kind of marriage. You will be playing then.
Absolutely. My troupe and I will be playing throughout.
Great.
How can I help you?
I need some information if you already have them, or if you can find a way to get them. I need to know you been hired by our side, or have you been hired by the bride side?
We have been hired by the bride's family.
That's good. Have you heard them talking about what is their hopes for this wedding? Did you heard some of them saying something strange? I need your insight. I need your here. When people are around.
I understand.
Okay.
You wish the gossip that we may have picked up.
Well, people usually talk a lot next to musicians and caterers, so why not?
I will tell you this. Last night when we were preparing, we heard a thunderous argument between the bride and her father. It was very, very loud. They were trying to be quiet, but I don't know the substance of it. But I know that after the bride left, that Iron Lion, the bride's father, called his right-hand swordsman, Ashen Twilight, called her, and they spoke for a while, and then she rode out.
Have you seen her coming back?
She was back earlier this morning, so she was gone all night.
I see.
Does that help?
It may help. Thank you for this information.
And I hope that you will have a chance to hear our performance.
I'm looking forward to that.
And we'll cut away from you. We'll come back and like do a formal study move here for further investigation. Let's come to Lin Shun. Lin Shun, it's a party. There are lots of people here. What are you doing? Who are you looking for? What are you trying to achieve?
I think at some point, in between all of the normal reveling stuff, I'm probably going to try to find and get the attention of Dawning Joy at some point.
Absolutely. So where do you find her?
She is probably sitting at a table with families or receiving guests, probably. Yeah.
And they're thanking people for their arrivals. Gifts are
Yeah.
being taken in. They're being recorded. And she knows you as a friend of Wan Li. And so she will greet you. Lin Shun, is it not?
It is. Thank you very much for allowing me to attend your wedding.
And you see her kind of do that thing of, was he on the guest list? Your father arrived yesterday.
Yes. I had to stay back and accompany my my friend Wan Li.
You came with Wan Li then?
Yes, I did. You know Wan Li, of course.
Yes. Yes. In passing, not too closely. I understand there was some trouble on the road.
Oh yes, some bandits at the at a tea house restaurant.
Oh.
There was a these things happen. I'm sure you heard my tales from earlier.
Yes. How can I help you?
Oh, your presence is help enough. I was hoping to maybe talk with you later when you're less and sort of like look around everyone is like less occupied. I have some tales of a personal nature from our journey.
And you can see her like that clearly catches her attention. Like, oh, maybe this is a message from Wan Li. She says, yes. I will be in the garden just before dinner. Come there and we will speak then.
Fantastic. In the meantime, enjoy your party.
Oh, I think it is everyone's party, not just mine.
Of course.
And then you'll move on down the line, having secured this invitation, this chance to speak with her privately.
Cool.
Hu Li Hua, what are you doing?
I think that the audience would see Hu Li Hua like kind of angrily eating, let's say, an orange, fuming over what she perceives to be a very embarrassing moment. But she's thinking, I am thinking that I find it kind of suspicious that my husband isn't here yet, because I got delayed and he's a very proper person. He wouldn't be late for something like this. So I'm going to try to figure out where he is.
Sure. let's that feels like a study roll.
Yes, I'm going to be basically asking around, acting like I'm, trying to make friends and sharing drinks and food with people and talking about, my travels and my husband, like always bringing up Son of Stone and Wrath and see if anybody has any like inkling of where he
Absolutely.
might be.
Let's have you roll.
Yes. I think this is going to be wood. I feel like curiosity fits.
Yeah.
So that's +0. Oh no.
So what do you
That's a
have?
4.
That is a 4.
Yes.
Then I think that you will find Son of Stone and Wrath, and you will see that you clearly caught him, and he was speaking very closely, what one might even suspect an embrace
Oh.
of some kind. And you see him step away as you appear, and you see Scholar of Hawks kind of look down and away.
Oh no. That kind of feels like an inner conflict to me.
I think it
Yeah.
definitely qualifies.
That's let's see. Kind of feels like water again, like I would get isolated and depressed. So that's +2, that's 10.
That's 10. You keep yourself together.
Yeah. That it is upsetting and confusing, but yeah, I managed to keep it together, at least for now.
Ah, my beloved, I was just asking Scholar of Hawks if they had seen you.
Oh, well, I've been in the main hall all day just talking to people. That's kind of strange, don't you think? I feel like I was very easy to find. Unlike you.
Well,
Took me a
I
while.
arrived yesterday, and then there were some tasks I had to finish, so I was gone this morning when you arrived. I've only just returned.
Well, like I say, kind of like literally coldly. I was not able to find the gift you requested. There was some trouble on the road, but I will insist that the gift that me and my friends came up with, the gift of a horse from our province, is going to be more than enough.
Certainly, if you wish to take upon any potential embarrassment, that is your right, my beloved.
Oh, I've been embarrassed plenty already. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference at this point. And I kind of glance at Scholar of Hawks.
They look away. He says, I understood there was some trouble on the road.
Yes, but nothing that the 8 Peaks style could not deal with very easily.
He looks a little like he's thinking about something. So, well, I should go and clean myself up from the road and make myself ready. You should probably get dressed up as well, he says dismissively.
Oh, I already am. I'm one step ahead of you.
Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't tell.
Yeah, very funny.
And he clearly is like waiting and making sure that all 3 of you go your separate ways.
I turn to Scholar of Hawks and I say, I apologize. It's not my best day, and I had hoped that I would meet you again under more auspicious and positive circumstances, but I'm sure that I'll be fine at dinner. I am looking forward to sharing a meal with you.
And they look like they're going to say something else, and then they kind of stop, and they bow, and I hope so as well, and they move off.
Right.
Mhm.
I would also like to try to figure out what they were talking about. If there is some way I could either coax it out of somebody or
Yeah, let's have a study roll and see what you can come up with.
sure. I'm going to say I'm trying to coax it out of Scholar of Hawks, who
Okay.
I feel would be more receptive. I think this feels kind of like metal, like calculation. So that's a +0, and it's a 7.
So 7, so you have one hold.
Yes.
You can ask a question, or you can declare. You can tell me
Uh,
what they were talking about.
Let me see if I can figure out something to establish, and if not, I'm just going to ask you.
Sure.
No, actually, I would like to ask you. I would like to ask you what they were talking about. They seemed very secretive and kind of intimate, and but I wasn't able to.
It's the
actually follow
body
what they should
language.
say. Yeah.
It's the way they were acting that tells you that Son of Stones and Wraths has something over Scholar of Hawks.
Oh, like
some kind of
from them.
blackmail,
Yeah.
or some kind of pressure, or some kind of leverage. And he was pressuring them to do something. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay. Let's come back to Juan Lee here.
Yeah.
You want to look around and try and figure out what's going on as we getting later in the day. People are getting ready for the reception party, that kind of thing.
Well, generally yes, but since the lead that the musicians gave to me about Ancient Twilight, since she's came back this morning, I look for her.
Okay. You can track her down. She is a highly placed person in the household. You know her as a formidable warrior of the Wulin, and she will greet you formally.
Yeah.
Magistrate.
I think I salute back with a formal way, and I ask her, can we talk in private, please?
Absolutely, magistrate, and gestures for a place for you to step into a room off to the side and walk in there. Kind of closes the sliding door. And what is it that you need?
You see, so I think that while we are talking, I pick an argument. I pick a topic to talk about in order for me to study a bit of her.
Sure, absolutely.
So I think I roll, and then we.
Yeah, we'll figure out what you can ask and how this looks here. What do you want to roll that study roll with?
Since I'm going to do this in this way, it could be something out of wood.
Okay.
So let's roll with a +1. And it's a 10.
That is a 10. You have 2 hold.
Good.
So you can ask questions, or you can declare. What is it you want to know or tell us?
Well, it's easy to say, to tell at this moment. So I think that even if she cleaned herself when coming back, I think I can see that she went out in the night, and there is probably mud on her boots or something like this.
Absolutely.
And I think that it is the place. It is a giveaway of the fact that she went out to hire the persons that tried to catch me, get me.
The very specific mud that you saw on the twins' boots.
Yeah.
Matches the mud that you're seeing on her boots as you speak to her, and we get that shot in. We get a flashback to the other boots, and we see you put two and two together there, and realize that she is definitely involved with the hiring of the killer there. You still got one hold.
Yes, and well, the motivations are pretty clear. She received an order, so I'm not asking that. But I think that what I want to know at the moment, and how we get to know it, we'll see. But I need to know where I can find the bride, since now it's not the moment that the bride is available to everyone. Because I think we are already in the moments before the wedding that she's enclosed someplace.
Yeah, I think that you kind of finish out this conversation with Ashen Twilight, and we see you flash back to what you've heard and stuff, and you know that we're just before dinner. That if you go now, you might be able to catch Dawning Joy in the garden meditating.
Okay.
Does that seem fair?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And in fact, let's cut to that right now, Lin Shun.
All right.
That just this kind of very classic built sets with the little pond, the small bridge out to kind of a pavilion, beautifully, carefully tended garden. We see you come out. You see in that pavilion the bride, and she is practicing on her instrument there. As you walk, beautiful, the light hits her at just the perfect angle, little soft focus. And she will look up and she says, Master Lin Shun.
You are here as promised.
Yes, you said that you had things to speak to me about.
Yes. Will you walk with me? And I think using the drink with me move to hold her attention.
Absolutely, yes. She'll set the instrument aside and comes and says, "Let's I can show you the flowers in the garden."
Of course. And there's make a little bit of small talk as we walk along, and then drop in. So, you know my good friend Wan Li, of course.
I am familiar with Wan Li, yes.
I told you I had news from our travels.
Yes.
And that may have been misleading. I actually have a question.
A question?
For you.
Go on.
You have feelings for Wan Li, don't you?
Why would you ask such a thing?
Because either you or someone from your family hired assassins to murder him and everyone with him. He's in great danger. And I was assuming it's not you.
I certainly would never have harm brought to him.
Of course. But he is in great danger. And as we are friends, I am afraid I share his fate. you're familiar, and I know you do not hold affection for my other friend, Hu Lihua.
She is lowborn at best.
Indeed, but a great warrior. And I'm afraid we are to duel in the morning, and she will certainly kill me. And I take her hands. Say, this is your wedding night, your last night of freedom, dawning joy. And as we're walking, I sort of gesture towards a nearby door that leads outside. Leave with me. Spare my life from the duel and spare Wan Li's life from the assassins. If you leave with me, they'll know that he has nothing to do with you, and he'll be spared. And I think I'm trying to do hearts and minds here.
I think so. I think you're trying to convince her that this is a way to save her beloved. What do you want to roll that with?
I think that's definitely fire.
Okay.
I think that's all I got there. So +1. Let's see. That's a 9. And actually, I'm going to burn my relationship with Huliwa, because I just kind of threw them under the bus as my own killer.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
to make that a 10.
And I think there is that thing where she goes, and this will save Wan Li.
It will.
Then I will go with you.
And I embrace her, take her hand, and then I guess we both run towards the door.
Yes.
All right.
And we'll come back to sort of the end of that scene, back to Wan Li in a second, arriving just a moment too late.
Yeah.
Hu Lihua,
Yes.
what are you doing?
Am I aware of this? Like, do I see them running towards the door? Or
Actually, I think let's set that up that they've left the garden, and Wan Li is heading towards the garden to be informed that Lin Shun was just there with them. But Hu Lihua, you see the two of them, clearly like sneaking out, moving quietly through the back part of the estate, making their way to exit.
right, which I think is suspicious.
Oh yeah, what is Lin Shun doing with the bride? What is going on?
So I'm going to try to stalk behind them,
Okay.
stealthily try to figure out where they're going, because I don't think that this does not make sense.
Okay. So Lin Shun, you're clearly gathering things together, and they are going and maybe getting horses in that way that says we're going to ride out of here.
Yeah, we are out the door.
Out the door. Hu Lihua, you definitely see that. Like, they are definitely making preparations to run away together.
So what I'm going to do is, let's see. I'm going to try to stop them. I'm going to try to get ahead of them and try to convince them to not leave.
So I think as you've gotten the horses saddled, Lin Shun, you and the bride, she's got a veil on, come out, and you see Hu Lihua standing there in your path. What do you say, Hu Lihua?
I'm standing there with like this kind of, let's say, power stance, like legs kind of far apart, my arms outstretched, and I say to them, I may not know exactly what is going on here, but that has never stopped me before. I have this gut feeling, and I am not going to ignore it. You two need to stop being an embarrassment to your families and get back in there, and you need to get married and you need to behave.
You're telling me what to do. We are leaving so as to be an embarrassment to no one. And there's still a daughter to be married. Maybe go talk to Scholar of Hawks.
I have tried that and it has not gone well today. And actually nothing has gone well for me today.
I think this is
But if I
when
can get one thing right, it's going to be this.
I hate to disappoint you.
Let me pause here. Juan Lee,
I could use the flying daggers
do you want to spend that bond and
With-
appear?
with the Huliwa and the
Yeah.
pier.
So, and I think it is that you came on the garden. You heard that Lin Shun was there. You arrived. You looked around. They're both gone. And as this conversation is going on, Lin Shun, Hu Lihua, you look, and suddenly there is Wan Li, appeared out of nowhere.
And I say, Wan Li, you're the voice of law here. Try to help me get them to stop. They are trying to escape. They're trying to leave, and it's going to be an embarrassment to both of their families.
Wan Li, would you rather be embarrassed or dead?
Wow, Wan Li, how do you reply to that?
Mm.
Next assassins will not be so incompetent.
There won't be next assassins. I will not be nor embarrassed know that, because we have to follow our duties. I look at Dawning Joy and I say, you know how I feel about you, but you also know that for that reason, I cannot follow your heart on these things, or my heart in these things. You have a marriage that is important for both your family and my clan. And I will talk to your father and make it really clear that I am here to follow the orders of my chief. He has nothing to fear.
Let us have you roll hearts and minds here to break her heart.
Yeah. I'm doing that. And I think that the way I do this is well, I cannot be fire obviously at this moment, so I just want to be very cold on this.
Sure. Let's have you roll.
I think it's metal.
Okay.
And so roll. Wow.
Mm.
What'd you get?
Another snake eye, so it's a 3.
I think that as you say that, and as you look and we see the tears coming down your face, I think Lin Shun, Hu Lihua, you see the sword come out the front of Wan Li. And you can suddenly see appeared behind him is Ashen Twilight, and she has driven a blade through him.
Wow.
Please mark an element, Wan Li, as you have been stabbed in the back. You will see that Ashen Twilight is there, as well as Son of Stone and Wrath, and some troops from the household of the Heavenly Stone. Hu Lihua, what do you do?
Of course, stab the only one that was trying to make it work.
Yes.
I will turn to Son of Stone and Wrath, and I will say, I demand an explanation for this.
You should step back and away from this. Turn away now.
I draw my sword. I'm not pointing it at anyone, but I have it in my hand.
And
I will not step away. The point of this wedding is peace in the Wulin world, and this is not peace. This isn't why we're doing this.
And he says, there will be no peace in this world when that bride is dead.
Whoa, whoa.
Lin Shun, let's come to you. We're going to kind of circle around here. What do you do? Is it, and she looks startled by that.
Where are we positioned?
I picture you kind of in the back of the estate. You've come out of the stables. We're in that space out in front of it. There are at least two groups of troops that are closing in. And you have a horse. She has a horse, but Hulihua has stopped you before you can mount or anything.
And that was Son of Stone and Wrath that said that.
Yes. Her husband.
I sort of have my hand on the bridle of the horse, and I put my other hand up and sort of walk towards him and say, I want no part of this. I'm just here for a good time and to help my friends, and start leading the horse away, and then give it a whack so that it kicks Son of Stone and Wrath.
Oh, okay. So yeah, let's have you roll. He's a potent swordsman, so you're gonna try and throw him off his game here. What do you think that is?
Is this a overcome?
Yeah.
Or is this a let's see, I think that's gonna be I feel like it's gonna be water, because I'm trying to use the flexibility of the situation.
Okay.
Cool. Let's see what happens there. A 6.
A 6. So I think there is that moment when you are going to go by, and first you think that Son of Stone and Wrath is going to just let you go, but then there is this leap, and he comes down and he cuts into your arm with that blade. Blood splatters out, and he goes, "You're going nowhere. You are the scapegoat." Mark your element there.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna take a wound on that one, actually.
Okay.
That sounds,
yeah.
Arm wound sounds bad.
Cuts into it. You feel it slice. You feel your arm go numb from that hit, and you kind of stagger back. Wan Li, lawlessness is broken out. What do you want to do?
How many are there? Just to see if what I'm thinking is possible or not.
There's Son of Stone and Wrath, who you know is potent. We have Ash and Twilight, who is the leader of the Heavenly Stone's right-hand warrior. And then there are two groups of troops, one on sort of either end, kind of trying to block people from leaving. What do you want to do?
I just want to protect the bride, and actually my aim is to bring her to the chief so that the wedding can actually go through.
Okay.
So I think that I'm moving after being stabbed, so I'm not as quick as anyway. I would not be quick, because I'm this bear of a man. But I go directly to her, and while I do, if I manage to speak in some way, and I say, I can bring you to safety. Don't look around. Don't be scared. And because I'm so big that I can actually embrace her, I take her. I bring her with me.
And I think there is that moment when she draws her hands up and she looks at your blood on her hands there. And I think right now, the action that you're going to have to do is, since there are a group of troops that are going to try and stop you right now. So I'm going to have you deal with the troops to keep them from pinning you here.
Yeah. So I put myself between her and the troops.
Absolutely. Let's have you roll.
This is a duel, or it's dealing with troops.
Dealing with troops.
Right. Yeah. And it's the style, so it's +2. roll 13.
13. What does
Yes.
it look like when
Um,
you absolutely, dispatch this group that tries to come and get you, tries to get a hold of the bride?
I think that it works like this. I put myself between Donnie Joy and them. They see that I'm alone facing them. Probably they think I'm actually taunting them by doing this and planting my feet on the ground. So they charge me, and I stay still up until they are in the right position. They are at my staff range, and in that moment I just make small movements. I think I do just 2 or 3 steps, and in those 2 or 3 steps I bring them all down on the ground by sweeping them. And
3 brilliant sweeps cut through them. It is an absolute conservation of energy. That is your skill, and they go flying. Hu Li Hua, you see your husband slash into Lin Shun. You see Ashen Twilight beside him. Wan Li grabs the bride, starts to move, and goes through the troops, and now fighting has broken out. What do you want to do?
I'm going to call out to Wan Li. I'm going to tell him to get the bride to safety and get the bride's sibling to safety as well, because I believe that Scholar of Hawks is also in danger. And I will try to stall for time.
Interesting.
By fighting this.
Fighting both of them?
Yes, this what is certainly a losing battle.
Let us have you roll a duel to keep the 2 of them at bay, because they will, your husband and actually move in to get you out of the way.
Yeah. So before I jump into the fight, I'm going to address Donning Joy and just tell her that if we never meet again, remember me better than I am. And think better of me.
Let's have you roll.
I'm going to roll these 2. That's a 13.
There's a 13. There is a bit where you are suddenly on them, and that crazy swirling style pushes them back, and forces them, and they're kind of stunned by your anger and your energy there. What does it look like when they do actually kind of push you back? What do we see?
It looks like I'm finally starting to get tired. My movements become slower and a little sloppier, and eventually one of them finds an opening. Let's say that my husband finds an opening because he's more familiar with my style.
And the thing is also that you're not taking a deep hit, but it's all these small cuts, and when you kind of stagger back, we see the strategic cut of blood here, and on your sleeve, and it looks like they're going to come in to finish you off. Lin Shun, you hear these words from the person that you were told to kill.
Yeah, I'm jumping in to help hold Son of Stone and Wrath off of Hu Li Hua.
All right. So this is duel. Hu Li Hua has their attention. So for this moment, you have an opportunity. For this moment, he is on your scale.
All right. So I'm going to. He has a. What is he attacking with? What's his weapon?
He's got a saber, like a bigger broaded blade.
I think I'm going to try to, because I'm probably behind him, and have a wounded arm sort of come over his shoulder and sort of do a flip over and take his saber from him.
Let's have you roll.
Probably with my offhand, and that's water.
It's water. and you
And
are
-2,
wounded, but
so it's straight up.
you've still got a bond left.
Okay, let's see what happens. That's a 10.
That is a 10. So what do you do? Like, are you dropping Hu Lihua's husband?
I think so. I think I come over his shoulder with his saber and just sort of like stand in front of Hulihua and just say, "You can't hurt her anymore." Slice him down the middle.
And he staggers back. There's that pause. 1, 2, blood spray, and he collapses to the ground. Wan Li
throw the sword on top of him. Yeah,
crashes to the ground there. Wan Li, what do? You've driven off these troops. You see that fight going on. You could help your friends, or you could go to try and get her out of here to the chief.
Well, after seeing that, I noticed what's happened. So I'm following what Hulihua told me. I'm bringing Don't Enjoy with me, and I will try to bring her to safety while looking for I don't remember the name. Sorry.
Oh yeah, the scholar.
Scholar of Hawks.
Yes, Scholar of Hawks. Exactly.
Let's have you roll overcome to get out of this, to get you and her free without suffering anything.
Okay. I think that I'm doing this with it is obviously Earth again.
Yeah, this is solid. This is what you do. You are a bulwark. You are a mountain.
Okay, so roll. And it's a 9. Okay.
It is a 9. Do you have any bonds?
I have a bond with the bond that I still have left is because I forgot to remove this one before, is the one with my chief.
Do you want to spend your bond?
Let me check, because I could use it, just to understand, I could use it later with the Flying Dagger to actually reach them,
potentially
reach the chief right away, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so give me a complication.
Then I think that as you are flying along, I think there is that moment when one of these troops turns and fires at you, and you hear and you realize that an arrow has struck the bride in your arms, Dawning Joy, and she kind of looks up at you, and as your blood mingles with hers.
Wow.
Well, I don't know if she's dead yet or not. We'll find out, won't we?
Yeah.
Okay. Hu Lihua, you are,
Yes.
and we see you. Just to kind of finish that, we see you lightnessing over to the main area where the chief is at. Hu Lihua, you see your husband fall dead, and you see this warrior, Ashen Twilight. You see her cry out, angry, more angry than you would expect. Like there's some connection between her and Stone of Stone and Wraths, and she just tears, and she looks up at you, and she's clearly here to kill you.
So I think that, again, today has not been going well. None of the things they set out to do have actually worked out. But I can put my life on the line to defend somebody else. That is the way of my people. Like the way we survive out on the plains and the steppes is through, solidarity and sacrifice. So I am going to stand in front of this woman, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to stand in front of this woman. I'm going to stretch out my sword, and I'm just going to tell her to bring it.
This is a duel. Let us have you roll. She is out of sorts. She is angry. Her passion, her elements have overwhelmed her. Her discipline has left her, and she just wants to kill you. Let's have you roll.
And too bad for her because I rolled an 11.
Then what do we see? How does that go down? She brings her blade up, comes at you.
And instead of fighting the way that I've been fighting so far, it's just over in one move, like one strong step to the side. So her blade just brushes right past me. Maybe it cuts off one of my braids.
Yeah, just flying. Slow
But-
motion through the air. We
Yeah.
see the braid falling.
Yeah, slow motion, leaves blowing upward. You know, very word of honor if you've seen that.
Yep.
And I cut her across the hamstring with my sword.
And she will crash to the ground. Lin Shun, what is your reaction to this?
She was the last one standing.
Yeah,
otherwise?
the troops kind of tried to stop Wan Li and scattered.
Yeah, I probably take a step back and applaud. And Li Hua, I've never seen you fight like that before. Such control and calmness.
I tell Lin Shun, well, now you've seen the second of the 8 peaks.
It seems like you've wounded me greatly with your sword, and I have to concede our duel, I'm afraid.
Yes, I believe I got lucky, I think, in our duel.
And holding the wound I got from whoever hit me before.
Yeah,
Yes.
Sinister
Oh,
Wrath. Oh, okay.
Yes, clumsy knee.
I'll have to tell my father that I unfortunately failed in my duty.
So I think we're going to move to kind of epilogue scenes, telling us what happens next in the immediate aftermath or a little bit later. But I think, Wan Li, we have to start with you.
Yeah.
You arrive, like, what happens? What do we see on screen? Live, dead? What do we know?
Okay, I think that it works like this. With this new wound, Wan Li doesn't go to look for Scholar of Hawks, but goes directly to the chief. So I think that the next scene is probably Wan Li running on the roofs and finding the place where the chief is stationed, and while arriving, asking for someone to deal with the wound. He screams with a voice that is broken by tears, but the things he says are not outside of the duty that he's doing. So he never talks about don't enjoy in any different way that the bride, and he only speak with the chief, saying that he saved. He found out that there was a conspiracy to kill the bride in order to not go through with the marriage and keep the war between the Wulin world.
And does she live?
I think that the chief has resources to make her live.
Okay. That I think that we see the doctors tending to her. We see the chief move you away, and there's that bit where the chief says, "I know what this has cost you." Li Hua,
Yes.
what is the epilogue for you? What do we see of you?
I think the epilogue is that I end up being eventually adopted into the Heavenly Stone in recognition for my my acts of sacrifice and bravery. Um, I and I feel like this somehow helps my clan be seen better by the more orthodox sects and clans in the Wulin world. Like, it's the turning point where we begin to be seen as, not just troublemakers from the provinces, but an actual asset
Mm-hmm.
to the Wulin world. I feel like maybe my relationship with Scholar of Hawks never actually consummates in any way, but we end up, training together and living as friends until very, very old age.
Some regrets, but a companionable pairing between as your clan is, people begin to think of it as a righteous clan, as a
Yes.
clan of the good and the upright. And Lin Shun, what about you?
I think the epilogue is Lin Shun. So sort of like the shot is like the shot of the wedding. As the camera kind of pulls back, we see it's a completely different wedding, and Lin Shun is surrounded by people, and he is telling the story of how Huliwa and Wan Li, defeated this conspiracy to kill a bride at another wedding, and how Huliwa was knocking arrows out of the air with her swords, and there was a tremendous horseback battle and everything, and just sort of clearly like getting other people to pay for stuff for me because probably my father has cut me off, and just like, but continuing on my my journey of wantonness.
So we get the parallel scene where again your cup comes out and wine is being poured for you, and everyone is enthralled with the wedding. Awesome, and that's our session
Awesome.
there for
Nice.
Hearts of Wulin. If you don't mind, I always like to have people go around. We do hearts and wishes at the end of sessions. Hearts being things that you liked about other people's play, things that you liked in the scene, anything that you want to point to as really enjoyed. And then wishes are things that, like, for the next time I would run this, what you would suggest if you have any ideas on input, things like that. Wan Li, is it okay if I start with you?
Yeah.
Okay. Hearts and wishes.
Oh, well, hearts are, I think there wasn't a scene in which there weren't hearts in it. So I really like the way you worked very good to weave all the things that were coming out together. I always felt like in every scene, in every moment, you were making me picture it like it was in a wuxia movie. So it really worked like this. And well, I know it. We should. I think we didn't have any control in any way, but the roles we did really worked with what we were doing. So doing all those, even my two snake eyes.
Oh,
actually,
so many snake eyes today. That was
good.
wild.
Yeah. So but it worked, because after that, a 13 came out. So it seemed like even the dice were working on maximizing these two the delta between the ups and downs. I really enjoyed all the other characters. I really enjoyed Ling Jun, and I enjoyed Huliwa, the way they intertwined with also my storyline. I think you did a very good job in making this a close quarter one shot, but still showing out different aspects of the genre. It shows that it's your game, and you wrote it and you demonstrated it a lot. It is exactly what I wanted from this kind of one shot, to understand how the game worked. So hold a love on that part. Wishes, actually, I'm not sure that I have any advice for you at the moment.
Sure.
Maybe it will come out later while
Sure,
listening to the others, but
yeah. And of course afterwards, if you have some thoughts, you can always email me as well. Hu Li Hua,
Yes.
stars, wishes.
My stars were definitely the way that both Wan Li and Lin Xun played their unrecruited or maybe somewhat recruited love and attraction or whatever towards Donning Joy. I think that was very very melodramatic, very wuxia, and very believable. I love the way that the stakes kept rising because of these complex dynamics and relationships that they build in a very short span of time too, which is I think really admirable because it's very difficult to do that. Usually romance in RPGs is something that is developed over many sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was great to see develop so organically and dramatically in just a one shot. As for wishes, I'm with Wan Li on this. I'm not sure there's anything that I really wish for right now. I feel very like satisfied and fulfilled with this session. It's everything I was hoping it would be, and then some.
Good. Before I let Lin Xun wrap up, I want to say there were so many scenes that you called that were great. I loved Hu Li Hua's interaction with Scholar of Hawks. I loved Wan Li making that choice at the end, like this is duty, this is what I have to do. And I love Lin Xun's in the garden, like making that turn. That turn was great.
That's
so good.
Plot twist. Amazing. Yes.
Just coming off of the Passiones game, I'm just like, oh,
yes,
right.
Maybe a different genre, but let's do it.
Very close. Yeah. I just wanted to say that before Lin Xun, I'm going to give you last word here on Stars and Wishes.
Yeah, man, so many good things. But Wan Li and Hu Li Hua, like both very strong, different. Like all the characters were distinct and different from each other, and you all played your beats and characters so strongly. And I think in less deft hands, they may have come off as kind of blocking, like we're trying to do a thing, but it was just like adding to the tension and drama, and it was all motivated by what you're doing, and you both played perfectly. It was so fantastic to be part of.
Thank you.
And the game as a whole, I love the system, it's great. And just like the pacing, like they said, everything, every scene had a purpose and a meaning, and drove the story forward. It didn't feel like there was, like this was 3-ish hours. Didn't feel like there was a wasted moment at all. Okay. So just little making it and feeling natural, instead of like, here's the story we're going to move through, just like taking all the crazy things that we do and weaving them together into a pretty coherent, sweet, right on point story. So huge supernovas all around. Really great. I think the only wishes would be to see more and like get to play with advancement and XP and whatnot. Clearly one shot, so whatever. But just only wishes to see more of it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love that this game lets you make a custom move as an advancement. I think that's really cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
Obviously,
I actually
difficult.
I actually just thought one thing after what Lin Xun just said about how we played. I think at some point I decided, I didn't say it to anyone, but I decided that I wouldn't in any way discuss the love from Lin Xun to Donnie with Lin Xun, and I think that helped being so stoic in one direction. It is something that we would never, I think, would have addressed in that situation. We would address it later while drinking and maybe fighting, but
Yeah.
later in another situation.
No, all good character choices all around. Thank you all so much. I had a great time running this. It was a delight.
Yeah.
I am going to stop the recording.
All right.